this world is wrong to be.
Welcome to the O.W.P. This is our wrestling podcast. This is Dave along with Jess.
Hello, David.
Hello, Cuz. And Craig. Hey. Bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. And now on to our topic today, forgotten factions. Hit us up on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. Click on Linktree. You can find us on several platforms, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcast. And don't forget, we are now part of the Wrestle Hub family, all about wrestling podcast. Catch them at the Wrestle Hub on YouTube and Instagram. Sorry, I can't see the video. What's going on?
I was mimicking you the whole time. I was lip-syncing.
Totally normal.
Just regular intro. Great job.
Yep. Yeah, good job, everybody.
Yeah, it was a good. Yeah.
What's the topic again? I don't fucking remember.
I don't care.
Forgotten wrestling factions. Forgotten wrestling factions. So everybody knows the Four Horsemen. Everybody knows the NWO. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows Evolution. Overrated. Everybody knows all these other factions here. So we decided to talk about four factions that a lot of people don't talk about. I'm not wrong. A lot of people talk about don't talk about anymore. It's four small little factions that I handpicked with my hand. Picked them.
He put them in the faction bag and picked out four factions.
In the faction bag, and then I chose four of them that a lot of people, if not anybody, doesn't talk about anymore. And they were either groundbreaking for their time or they had short lifespans. Thank you very much. That is my speech for this evening. My name is Jess.
Well, I guess if they're forgotten, they're overrated then.
Stop. I'm not even going to fall into your cuz vortex at this point. I have valid reasons to back up what I said, but that's a different topic altogether.
It's fair.
A different topic altogether.
I can see why.
So what do we got, Dave? What do my notes say? Huh?
Faction 1.
I don't know. Do you want to lip sync them while I say them?
You said you were watching the video.
Yeah, you said you didn't see us, Dave.
You're a liar.
It's pretty easy to understand what happened.
I can't trust you if you're a liar.
You guys are not that smart.
It's pretty dishonest.
You didn't see it. He lied to us.
No, I really didn't see
Ouch,
it.
Dave.
I figured it out.
He lied again.
We would never make fun of you.
I don't know what to believe now.
I don't know what you're talking
So
about.
many lies.
Delicious.
I can't see the video at all. Chester took a drink. Anyway.
All right. The first one is honestly, this one really is kind of not only forgotten, but really underrated. Right to Censor in the WWF consisted of Stevie Richards, Val Venus, Ivory, The Godfather, and Bull Buchanan. What a mix. This is kind of how factions started. They're just like, throw them together, see what happens. Make a faction out of them, right? This is... And that's what he does. He's like, let's see what happens. And if it's dumb, he's laughing on his monitor in the back, VKM, going, look at that stupid shit. That's what Vince does.
What do we do? I don't know. Make up a faction. The
funny thing is this kind of worked. In 2000 and 2001, the Wrestling Wars were definitely coming to a close. WCW took the giant turd and was circling the bowl. We knew it was well over at this point. The WWF was so hot right now, they can do almost nothing wrong in the fans' eyes. So the raunchier product was the main focus. However, network exclusive advertisers and activist groups were definitely telling a different story. Like, you need to knock this off.
Yeah, they were starting to get a lot of heat here in the Jerry Springer. Where the networks were like, you can't do that. And why did you do that? And what the fuck are you doing there?
The Parents Television Council. That's what kind of they were named after that.
So to your point, this is what Vince does. Let's start a faction.
Now, you don't sue me. I make fun of you. Faction.
And so WWF, meaning Vince, decides to take a shot at the detractors by creating a group called RTC, or Right to Censor. They were a heel faction tired of all the smut and the Jerry Springer type of material and propaganda the WWF fans
like real life.
They even tamed the porn character Val Venus and the pimp the Godfather, which why?
So
Like,
yeah,
why would
Val
you do
Venus,
that?
for people who remember him, was like a legit porn character. He wasn't legit, like he wasn't important in life,
ladies.
but he was like a porn character.
Hello, ladies.
Oh, she loves Val.
So this is the home of the San Jose Sharks. Well, ladies, if you're looking for some fresh meat to chomp on, the Big Valboski will put you all into a beating frenzy.
And the Godfather brought hoes and pimped them out every week. So everybody, especially the Godfather, everybody loved his entrance, and it was a big deal every Monday. So they took Val Venus and him and changed him to the Good Father and just called him straight up Val Venus.
That's right.
And the Good Father, they wore white shirts with black ties, and like they were totally against any kind of.
They look like they were going door to door, man, and telling you about
any
the
kind
war.
of violence, any kind of porno material, anything like that. So what two better people than Val Venus
Anything
and
derogatory.
the Godfather to be like, you know what? We've been terrible. We've sinned. We've done terrible things, and you cannot see this anymore. And Ivory cannot be talked about enough. Ivory was like the mouthpiece.
She was
Talking
great.
about the women's
She was
revolution
great.
killed it
now.
on the-
Like
she
Ivory
killed it on
back
the mic.
here, they made Ivory kind of the head of
Yes.
this faction back here. Stevie Richards actually was the first one, and Stevie Richards is criminally underrated, by the way. Not only for his ring work, but Stevie Richards was great on the mic. He just got, in the early days, he was known as Raven's Flacky. But like when he actually got on the big stage, Stevie Richards was really good, and he's a teacher. He teaches people how to wrestle now. So he was excellent. So he was kind of the first mouthpiece that started it. But then once he got Ivory on board, Ivory was always like, I'm not doing this. I'm not, showing my boobs. I'm not going to do what the other divas do. I'm not Sable. I'm not Sunny. And so she kind of took over as the mouthpiece. And Ivory was fantastic every time she cut a promo with this group. I loved her. I loved everything she did.
So we'll know if it hurts or not.
What you are missing, people, is that what you are embracing is leading you closer and closer into the depths of depravity.
Depth of depravity.
With every bra and panties match,
Oh boy.
with every no holds barred, every hell in the cell, we as human beings, we lose a little part of ourselves that we're never going to get back.
You think about a lot of these guys. I mean, the Godfather got everything over, it feels like, and highly underrated on how many times he would get things over.
I don't know if the
like
comma got over, but
Papa Shango, though.
Papa Shango.
It was fine. It was fine. It did its job. And, like you said, Ivory was the definition of ahead of her time, without a doubt. I agree.
I think it made it more, gave it more strength.
Their music was awesome.
Like a police alarm or something.
Yeah.
Like
Fucking buzzard.
Yeah, it was just an alarm.
Yeah,
and it just drove you crazy.
The
The symbol was the Ghostbuster red X, or the red.
Yeah.
I think that gave it more weight by converting God.
Who was doing the music back then? They're like
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson.
So let
Let
me
me
just,
fucking finally.
yeah.
And he held
So
it.
Screw it. Just put a siren on.
I'm going to need a couple of days. He's all, I get to take a
And he
vacation.
held his recorder up to his alarm system at his house.
Yeah, you're gonna pay him by the
That
hour
gave
on
him-
this one.
That group converting Godfather and Val Venus gave it more weight to their message, more power.
Yeah.
And then
And the fans were mad that you took my porn star and my pimp away from me.
Hey,
Damn
It's
it.
good.
But, yeah.
It's
You know what?
definitely a good heel faction. They're gonna
Well,
get
and
booed
dare
that
I
way,
say that at this point, the activist groups and everything were more hammering on the Godfather and Val Venus,
yeah.
because of their
So that's what made it
explicit
more
material.
impactful.
So it makes sense, that Vince is like, fine, you want me to get rid of those characters? I will, but now I'm going to mock you with them, kind of thing.
And they did win right to censor in the end, right? Because it was PG for the next fucking 15 years or so.
Yeah, so right to censor
So they
this
won.
faction.
The greatest faction of
Yeah.
all time. Better than NWO. Better than the X. Better
You're
than Four
right.
Horsemen.
Better than NWO.
Wow.
They had a stranglehold
wrestling
on
was
wrestling for
changed
10.
forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, join us at Wrestle.
Yeah, I was just going to, yeah.
Oh man. Speaking of, censoring, I don't know if you want to call it censoring, but it's kind of on the same wavelength. We're going to talk about the Straight Edge Society in WWE. This is CM Punk, Luke Gallows, Serena. I'm sorry. What's her last name?
Because
I don't.
Is it
Yeah,
Deeb?
it was. It's yeah, because she came to NXT later, huh? The women's class,
Yes.
the tenor.
Okay,
Yeah.
Serena Deeb and Joey Mercury,
Deeb
right?
or something.
This was formed on November 27th
about
of 2009. This cult-like faction was designed to showcase just what CM Punk had to offer, because CM Punk was the definition of straight edge. You know, no drinking, no drugs, no nothing. Each week were compelling segments, further establishing a cult-like feel. They even shaved Serena's head to free her from the toxicity of humanity. That's when you know you're all in.
I remember
right?
that segment.
That
on
was
SmackDown
awesome.
when they
I do
shaved her
too.
head, and that was
Yeah.
that was a really legitly like segment where the crowd was quiet in a good way, and it was
Very
like,
emotional,
are they really
like, oh my
shaving her
gosh,
head?
yeah.
Like she had long hair, she was a diva or whatever, and the fact that she went into this cult and Luke Gallows, everybody knows who he is. You know, he's like a kind of an internet darling. A lot of people love him with Anderson, and they formed this group, and every week just Punk he had long hair, he had the goatee, looked a little bit like Jesus, and so it was just kind of, they sort of played on that, and it was awesome, and it was short-lived, but this showed that CM Punk could do something on the main roster. Paul Heyman was the biggest advocate of CM Punk coming from what's the Florida Championship Wrestling, FCW, and bringing him up from the developmental, and then he was on the ECW brand for a while, the WWE ECW brand for a while, and Paul Heyman's like, no, CM Punk has the creativity, he has the promo skills, he could be something on the main roster, so they gave him a shot here. He had a nice program with Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship, but then after that, they kind of didn't really have anything for Punk. I think he got injured for a while, and then when he came back, Punk pitched this idea, what if I'm like this cult leader? What if I'm straight edge in real life, but what does everybody do in the crowd? They go to get beer, they go get, toxic food like fast food, and they do drugs, they do everything. So Punk's like, what if I'm this heel and I'm against all this stuff, and I put it back in their face? I mean, obviously he's in the minority, with straight edge, I mean, I know straight edge is a thing, but at the same time, Punk was like, people are going to get pissed off if I try to tell them how to live their life, what to eat, what to drink, what not to drink, so he did it, and it was awesome. And Punk is, look, I know a lot of people think Punk is overrated because he was so hyped and after he did, but I mean, like, legitly, if you're just talking about talents in the professional wrestling ring, CM Punk is a fucking great promo, one of the best ever. He legitly is. He's very passionate about his character. He's very passionate about the program he's in. CM Punk, and also on top of that, to be fair, he was a great professional wrestler.
Yes,
by every sense of that phrase. So
are you ready? Are you ready to accept straight edge into your heart? And if you're ready, Darren, look at me. If you're ready, I want you to do what Luke and Serena have done before you. All I ask is you raise your hand. You raise your hand to the ceiling. I want you to reach beyond the ceiling. I want you to touch the stars. And welcome to the first day of the rest of your life.
So, seeing him as a straight edge society here, I loved this faction. I remember being glued to them every week. It ended too soon, I think, for another injury. And Rey Mysterio, he had a great feud with Rey Mysterio where he lost a hair match. It was a mask versus hair match, and Mysterio beat him. So Punk had to shave his head, and then ever since then he kept short hair after that. So it was awesome. And then, like, he got injured.
Did he have his head shaved in the middle of the ring?
Yes. It was after the match.
Wow.
Yeah. He lost. It was a mask versus hair match against Mysterio. I don't remember what pay-per-view. But Mysterio beats him, and then he had to shave his head, like, in the middle of the ring after that.
Do you guys know the dirty secret? I forget where I read it, but it was in one of the wrestling biographies. It was like, the problem with hair versus hair matches is everyone would always have cordless hair shavers to the ring, and they would always jam and run out of batteries. And I thought about that, and because someone said, and that's when you know it's not going to work. The only way to do hair versus hair is plugged in proper head shavers. And the ones in the clips that I saw with Straight Edge Society, they had plugs in it, and I just kind of had thought of that moment.
Yeah.
No, this isn't going to work. Yeah, they thought it through. They literally thought it through.
Yeah, so this was awesome, and I know Cuz shares my fandom in this group too, because it was like, we knew CM Punk from Ring of Honor and all that stuff, and then he, came up in WWE developmental. He was really good. Again, I know his name. When you say it, people are like, it's so much controversy and everything, and like, but really, like, CM Punk was a great performer. He was great on the mic. He gave me everything I wanted from a pro wrestler, and he had a cool, edgy gimmick here. I love the straight edge. I want to say it ended from injury, so Punk ended up losing to Rey Mysterio. he went away for an injury, and then they didn't know what to do with it, and they just disbanded the group. And then when he came back, they tried to put him with Nexus, and that didn't work out at all. And then after that, he was going to leave, and then Vince said, "Go say what you want on my ramp, pal, 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 pal." And
you talk about the controversy of Punk, and the controversy of Punk is not here. The controversy is later.
Right.
On leaving wrestling, on not coming back, on quote unquote shitting on it, whatever. The controversy wasn't here. Everything that CM Punk is doing here is amazing. So, when you talk about what's here in the realm of the work that he's doing, CM Punk's amazing. Yeah. I'm one of those people that follow the lines of, I'm sick of people chanting CM Punk in a stadium and don't know why they're doing it. That's the controversy that comes up today. I guess I would say good for him that he continues to have that kind of legacy, but I think it's definitely something that it's just people like, and Jess and I have talked about this. People want something back that they could never get back, and CM Punk is the closest remnants of that. It's like asking for Rock and Wrestling to come back. It's like asking for the Monday Night Wars to come back. CM Punk is the closest thing to what people loved about wrestling that they just cannot get back, and that's because it's the most recent thing of that memory. That's why it's chanted, and that's the controversy. This stuff is great. This is amazing stuff, and it's definitely underrated. It's definitely a forgotten faction that you got to go back and check out.
Yeah, it's really good. And everything's on the network with them, so you should have no problem.
And he got legit fan heat, too.
It's all there.
When he was in this.
$9.99.
You remember that one where that lady was calling him the devil or something like that?
Yes.
She was yelling at him at ringside, and he was just laughing in her face and shit. Yeah, it was fucking.
Oh, and that was real?
Yeah, he would always, he would walk around the ring and he would taunt crowd in the front row, and they'd be yelling at him.
But it's like in Punk's mind, it's working.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was almost like a Marilyn Manson-esque type.
Like you're deriving a real emotion from people. It's like it's working. That's CM Punk. He gets it. Like I don't know how else to say. The guy gets it. Yep. Next one that we have on the list is Triple Threat out of ECW. Yeah, people forget about ECW in general sometimes, about what came out of it. Everybody thinks about the chairs being tossed in the ring and all the cheating except to win,
the high spots.
But they forget about what was formed here, especially mic work. Anybody who had a decent mic work that came out of ECW at this time, and this is no different. But you got Shane Douglas, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Bam Bam Bigelow, Chris Candido, Brian Lee, and Rick Rude. Wow, there's a lot of talent in that sentence. So, formed in 1995, the original three were Douglas, Benoit, and Malenko, which is incredible. So it sounds like I wonder who's going to be the mic piece there.
Of course, it's got to be Malenko.
Hey Shane, can you take this mic?
Of course, Dean Malenko, David. Anyway, move on.
Triple Threat is here.
One of the best
to wrestle you into the ground.
So.
We're three threats, so
when Douglas left,
I'm going to strangle my opponent tonight.
Oh, no, that's enough. The group had separated in 95 after Douglas had left for the WWF, but in 96, Douglas went back in ECW and reformed the stable with Chris Candido and Brian Lee. After kicking Lee from the group, Bam Bam Bigelow would join, and then Rick Rude would join shortly after as a manager role because wasn't Rick? He was done at this point. Right?
He couldn't wrestle no more.
Couldn't work anymore. After leaving for the WWF in 97, their group would separate for good in late 1998.
Well, let me just track the path of Rick Rude. So he was part of this faction, right?
Yeah.
He walks right out of that company, goes to WWF in 97 to walk into DX, and helps form the original DX was Rick Rude, Chyna, Triple H, and Michaels. Then he walks out of there straight into the NWO. In late 97, early 98. Yeah. Amazing. To just track Rick Rude in this. It's weird.
Maybe Rick Rude is the shadows, man. Maybe he controls everybody.
The messiah of professional wrestling.
He might be.
He created it all.
Do you remember when he showed up on ECW? Yeah. Remember he had a paper sack mask or a sack type of mask over him? And then he started talking and people started recognizing it, his voice. I forgot who. Was it Shane Douglas, I think, right? Was Shane Douglas in a promo?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't put a mask on somebody like Rick Rude and have them speak.
Well, tonight,
I think too the group that I remember the most from this was Candido, Bigelow, Douglas.
That's the best version. That's the best version of it.
Francine. That was the version.
It's the best version.
The original one, Douglas, Benoit, and Malenko only lasted for like 4 months.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
And then Douglas left to go to WWF and do Dean Douglas, and then he came back after a while. But yeah, their most work that they did was with Bigelow, Candido, and Douglas.
Awesome.
And that was awesome. And that was like the 97, 98 area where like that Taz was feuding with Bigelow,
RVD was
Douglas,
feuding with them.
RVD was feuding with Bigelow. That was really
Lance
good.
Storm.
That was my favorite triple threat easily.
Yeah.
Two people that had the rug pulled out from underneath them. There was a punk who thought he would stand in this ring on that night and raise 3 fingers with a triple threat. Sorry, punk, you were wrong. There was a man who thought that his belt meant more than this belt and was dead wrong. Who thought that he had a beast from the east on his side and you were wrong. Hey Taz, how did the gold taste?
Yeah. But yeah, they actually to span from 95 to 98. That I didn't realize until I did the research how long.
It's a long time.
I had forgotten about the original 3 as well. I was like, fuck, that's right. Like, yeah.
And then Brian
because
Lee,
it was a wrestling faction. Douglas loved pro wrestling. Douglas really is a good pro wrestler, and a lot of injuries and substance abuse kind of hampered him later in his career. But he loved it, so it made sense where Heyman was like, well, I'm going to put Benoit and Malenko, which aren't very good on the mic with you. You're going to be good, and they're phenomenal in the ring. You're very good in the ring. So there you go. Let's do a little group. And they started it there in 95. Cool shit.
Yeah, Shane Douglas did amazing things in spite of everything.
That's another guy that people don't talk about. Shane Douglas, you know, like,
I love
he took the path less chosen, didn't he? Like, you know, it was like, he got pissed off at the big 2 because he tried his, he put his foot in those waters and he got pissed off at the politics and the not getting pushed or whatever. And whether he deserved it or not, I don't know. But then he went to ECW and he started cutting these amazing promos. Yep. And he was passionate and real. And he used his anger for Flair because he actually really loved Flair, and Flair was his favorite wrestler, and he considered Flair to be the greatest wrestler ever. And when he met Flair, it was a famous story. I told this on one of other podcasts. I don't remember what topic it was, but he talked about how so like Flair was a booker at the time. It was one of the times where Flair got saddled with the booking job, which why? But anyway, like so it's a lot. You know, Flair's a performer, right? He wants to go out and wrestle. He wants to do that. You put a booking job on Flair and try to get him to follow like not an office schedule, but you know what I mean, like a supervisor role. Not very good for Flair. Not his best thing. So Douglas went up to Flair one time in the back and he said, hey, you know, Rick, I really look up to you and I think you're great and all that. I really want you to watch my matches and let me know, you know, I do a crossbody off the top rope. That's my finisher. Let me know what you think. Can I change it? Should I do something different? Oh yeah, kid. You know, yeah.
That's great.
So he's like, all right, cool. So one day on a house show, he found Flair back there and he's like, dude, watch my match tonight. I'm going to do the crossbody. I want your critique. Because he felt in his mind, I don't think Flair really watches my matches. Like, because Flair said the same thing. Oh, I do watch you, kid. I watch your matches. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep your nose clean. You know, all this stuff. And so he's like, all right. So he specifically cornered Flair one night. He's like, I'm going out right now. Go out and watch my match. Give me notes. So he went out. He purposely did not do the crossbody in the match when he was supposed to. And they ended it a different way. He comes to the back. Flair, how'd you see my match? Oh, you did great, kid. You're a great talent. You're the future of the business. What'd you think of my crossbody? Is that a good finisher? Yeah, man, I watched it. Oh, it was crispy. Did great. And right then he's like, this piece of shit. Right or wrong, Douglas formed that opinion of Flair right then and there. And he held that anger. So when he went to ECW and Heyman's like, what cross you got to bear, pal? And he's like, I fucking hate Flair. He's like, take my live mic and tell all of us how you hate Ric Flair. I don't care if you use his name. I don't care if you say WCW. Say whatever the fuck you want. And Douglas went out there and was like, fuck him. He called Dick Flair. He gave him the name. He called him Dick Flair. My name for him is Dick Flair. And
and that's why he started Triple Threat was against the Four Horsemen.
Yes.
And you know,
they had their little symbol, the 3 symbol.
Yeah, you can see it in their hands. There was 4, and then there were.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to explain how Paul Heyman just gets amazing work out of people that you would never expect. and he has a way of drawing it out of everyone. And you,
he did it for RVD.
Being a good
Paul
worker
Heyman
is
first-
great. But
Yeah.
what Paul Heyman proved with his ECW experiment was mic work will always drive characters. You have to be good on the mic. You have to have a compelling character that you believe in. Honky Tonk Man, not the greatest wrestler. Can we all agree on that? But his character was so sharp and and he would do stuff like, who's Elvis? I don't know who Elvis is. And you were just like,
copied
you
me.
fucking motherfucker. Like, you would get so mad. You know who Elvis
you
is.
hated
He's
him.
the king. And so people would get so hot. But Honky did 2 moves in there. And he was not very great at any of them. But like he was longest reigning IC champion. So Heyman saw that stuff when he came in. He's like, what makes you pissed? What do you believe in? And they're like, I'm mad at this. I'm mad at that. Go say it. Okay. And even if it ends up not being what their character is driven off of, the fact that they got it off their chest, Steve Austin is another one that comes to mind.
I was waiting for you to.
They get it off their chest, and now Heyman's like, you feel better? How's that feel? It just loosened them up, and then he just lets them go out every week.
Feels good, brother.
It feels good.
Brother, he made fun of me on ECW, brother.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
I'm hardcore, brother. I wrap a fucking barbed wire around my beer can penis, brother.
Yeah, what would Hogan say?
I drop it on Linda's face.
Terry.
You could argue that there would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin without Paul Heyman.
It's a very
There'd be no
fair
Hulk
statement to
Hogan
say.
without ECW.
Yeah,
It's a fair
if
assessment.
Terry Bollea ever went to ECW, what makes you mad? All right, I'm gonna go out there with a live mic, brother.
There'd be no Lou
What do you
Thez.
say? Fuck Vince,
brother.
like it.
He gave me steroids, brother.
He'd be like bitching about
My
his kids. or
payday
something.
should have been
That's
half
what
a
makes
million,
him
but
mad.
you only gave me 400,000.
My kids are.
You let the Warrior
assholes,
beat me, brother.
Yeah,
I want the
this
rocket
stupid
ship,
stuff.
brother. Not Warrior. Why does Warrior
And
have a
another
rocket
thing,
ship, brother?
I want to go in the middle of the card because if you're last, you don't get room service. So
Yeah.
And by the
You're an
way, ladies
You
and
eat
gentlemen,
cold
Hulk
pizza.
Hogan has no faction.
I'm
on
in
this list, and yet we're still
ECW,
talking
brother.
about
I'm
it.
we find a way
hardcore,
for Hogan
dude.
to creep.
I'm hardcore, brother.
Okay,
I wrap barbed wire around my beer can
Hogan
penis
was
and I
part of
drop
this
it on
faction.
Linda's
People
face,
know
brother.
about the NWO.
And
ladies
another
gentlemen.
thing,
We're going to talk about it in
I would
depth.
like an earlier flight on Wednesdays because the midday does not work for me. Is this okay, Paul? Am I doing good? You're doing fine, Terry. Jesus, like wow.
Brother,
Just-
what about the
just-
Whore 4? I can be with you guys.
Wow.
Oh man. Anyway, Dave, stop stalling, Dave. Go on.
No, brother.
Trying to transition into Steve Austin, we're going to talk about an alliance
The
that
greatest of
Austin
all
was actually
time?
in. This is the dangerous
Yes.
alliance in WCW. I'm going to read these
With the
names.
Shadow
It's
Man,
so
Rick
fun.
Rude.
Rick Rude, Paul E. Dangerously, Arn Anderson, Steve Austin, Bobby Eaton, Medusa, Larry Zbyszko, Adrian Adonis, and the original Midnight Express. Because you it looks like you got
Yeah,
something to
look
add
at
on
Rick
there.
Rude behind you thinking, then I'm going to go to ECW, and then I'm going to go to WWF,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go to ECW. And then
He's plotting his path right there. He's all.
He's
we
already
talked
thinking
about
about it
it, but
right
I'm
now.
thinking
You
about
can
it.
see him right there, man.
oh, man.
And I'm gonna wear a suit
Jesus,
the whole
that name
time.
made really bad. He's like, let him come to Dave's house?
And if
Yeah.
I'm lucky,
You see the little Rick
I'll
Rude
be on
behind me
both
there.
Raw and Nitro at the same time. If
That's
I'm
what he's
lucky, I don't know if
thinking
that's going to
Then
work.
maybe I'll get hurt, and then maybe I will
Yeah.
take pills
And you know what's
and
funny? He
never wake
probably-
up when I
Oh
try
my
to
God.
train for comeback.
I mean, he's in ECW, and he's got an in the ECW with Paul Heyman, and an in WWE with Stone Cold right there. I mean, come
Yep.
on. He plays it. He knows it. He predicted the future.
Yep. In 1987, Paul E. formed the Dangerous Alliance with Adrian Adonis and the original Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey, and Randy Rose in the AWA. The original group ended in 98 when Paul E. left the company for WCW. But in 91, WCW was in deep trouble after allowing Ric Flair to jump to the WWF and take the WCW championship up with him. We've told that
Fucking
story.
Jim Hurt.
It's in our archives. It's incredible. He's an idiot. WCW needed a shot in the arm after the disastrous Jim Hurt era. So Paul E. Dangerously comes into the rescue, who had been off TV due to a dispute with management. Imagine that. Reappeared in October of 91, claiming he would form an alliance to destroy WCW.
So 1991 was my
Destroy!
first year that I ever got. My first ever WCW
Where you
pay-per-view
actually
that I
saw
actually
WCW
got
programming?
was, I'm going to ignore that comment because I feel it was slanderous, Dave, and I didn't hear you, and I'm glad I didn't.
Drink your invisible
My
glass.
first ever WCW, I feel that is slanderous comment, cuz, and I'm not going to comment
What?
on
Not
it.
you.
Craig, I feel that's a slanderous comment that you're about to say right now, and I'm not going to respond to it.
Craig, how dare you?
Luke Gallows, I feel that's a...
Well, you have your Instagram.
So my first ever WCW pay-per-view was, of all pay-per-views, considered to be one of the worst ever in WCW history, and that was Great American Bash 91. I was like, why am I watching this shit again? So then I got Halloween Havoc on pay-per-view, and I liked that much better. And one of the reasons why was they debuted a Halloween Phantom, spooky, under a mask, and he defeated Tom Zink very easily. But at the end, if you watch at the end, the mask shift, and you see Rick Rude's porno mustache just coming out. So it's so fucking obvious that it was Rick Rude, and he beat him with the Rude Awakening, too.
He absorbed a blow or what? He took the brunt of that drop kick and came right back. He snapped it off. What a move.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's your winner, the WCW Phantom.
I tell you what.
But right after, Paulie Dangerously, who had been off TV for a few months, comes out with Medusa, who I'm also a big fan of, and found a lot of her fame in the AWA. We're out there, and he was like, I'm going to form an alliance to destroy WCW. I got into a fight with management. They held me off TV, which is true. Paul Heyman's the master of saying real stuff to get over in your promos. And he's like, now I'm going to unmask the Phantom. He's my crown jewel. He's Rick Rude. And he takes his mask off, and I was like, fucking Rick Rude is in WCW. So much, in fact, that they had gotten Steamboat back at this point, and so they started WCW after the whole Flair debacle and allowing him to fucking leave and show up on WWF television with the NWA title, with the big gold belt, is nuts. I mean, if a billionaire did not own this fucking company, it would have went out of business 19 times in like a 4-year span.
Yeah.
So they did all that, and I was like, dude, finally. So much, in fact, that I used to get magazines subscription. The Wrestler and Pro Wrestling Illustrated were two of the magazines I got back then. And on The Wrestler, about a month later, they put the cover of the magazine was "The Magic is Back in WCW," and it had a picture of Rick Rude, Sting, Ricky Steamboat, and all the new stuff, and the Dangerous Alliance. And so this is when
he had that. You had that on your wall in your bedroom for years.
Yep. Yes.
I can see it in my head of that picture and how it was pinned.
Yes, and like I loved it. And so like after he. Dave, I'll let you read on the notes here too, because I know I have page 2 of the notes here. Talk about Medusa was the first one that appeared with Paulie. Did you not get my second page? Am I ridiculous?
I have it, yeah.
So I just wanted to set the table because it was my second ever WCW pay-per-view with Halloween Havoc, and I could have given up on them. After Great American Bash, I was like, this fucking shit. And then I saw Halloween Havoc, and I love Rick Rude. So I saw Rick Rude. I was like, cool, Steamboat's back as well. Okay. And so it just all Paulie Dangerously in a company that should have died 1,000 deaths before the NWO was ever thought of. Just in this one move where they were in between. Jim Herd gets fired. They hadn't hired Bill Watts yet. So in that 6-7 month span, Paulie Dangerously was allowed to actually make his voice heard in the back and come up with this kind of group. And I'll let you read on. But like it started, it really excited me as a fan because competition's good, folks. Like it's really good. And when this started, I really loved this faction. I was like, God, you need a good heel faction. You do. And these guys hit it right off the bat. Dave named the talent, right? Jesus, like how do you miss?
Amazing.
It's insane.
How do you miss?
Yeah. So you kind of repetitive, but Medusa first appeared with Paulie, and then Rick Rude would join the group by that Halloween Havoc in 91. They would then recruit Art Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, and Bobby Eaton, and Stunning Steve Austin to complete the group.
When I was young, what?
A baby Austin.
Hey.
Goo Goo Gaga, what?
Goo Goo Gaga, what?
Give me down the mud hole, you guys.
I'm late for second period, what?
And then as soon as he grew his mustache, hey, what's up, Stoker?
I'm sorry, Dave. Dave takes a drink.
Dave, in case you ain't keeping up the current events, you just got recorded.
You
sure,
upset,
Dave. Drink
you
up.
Taking a drink, Dave? What?
What?
That is the best. That is
sure,
the
Rock.
best.
Drink up.
That's my favorite part of Austin.
One time in my life, I want to I want to hurt someone or kick someone in the ass on the street and then be on video, like doing that. The Steve Austin camera.
You should do it first. Just do that first and then kick him in the
Guess what I'm about to record, bitch.
What?
So yeah. So to Jess's point of competition, Rick Rude would quickly defeat Sting to win the U.S. title. Anderson and Bobby Eaton would defeat Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes to win the tag titles. and Steve Austin was the TV champion already at this point. So they held all the gold in this short portion of time, pretty much. Their group would split into their separate ways by the fall of 92. Paul Lee would leave the company and join Eastern Championship Wrestling, which eventually became ECW. Yep. And there you go.
And he would also, it's funny, he would bring the Dangerous Alliance to ECW when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling still. And he had people like 911, the Dark Patriot, Sherry Martel, Don Morocco, Eddie Gilbert, Jimmy Snuka, Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Tasmaniac, who went on to become Max Moon. Oh, Taz, you're right.
This is Max Moon,
like, all those people. I added that on the note. I know you didn't get that one, Dave, but I put that on my little note here.
No.
When he first went into ECW, I forgot. And I sent Dave the notes, and I was like reading on. I was like, "Fuck, that's right." I forgot he had the Dangerous Alliance when he was kind of doing the on-screen taking over from Todd Gordon or whatever before he really took the company over from Todd Gordon. Like they did like an on-screen thing or whatever. Like, and he had all these people as his Dangerous Alliance. Sherry Martel being like the Medusa role. Back like she was in WCW. So I loved the Dangerous Alliance. Sure. Like I loved go back and watch Wrestle War 92. That's probably the best ever War Games match I've ever seen. And that was the Dangerous Alliance against Sting Squadron. And it was match of the year that year, I think, for the most part. And it was probably one of WCW's greatest ever pay-per-view matches, actually, up to that point for sure, if not ever. Like it was a great culmination too. They had dissension there that night with Larry Zbyszko. He kind of left the group. He broke up with the group, and they did really good stuff, man. And then when Bill Watts took over, he's like, "I don't like things that make sense," and he take the mats away from the ring, and no jumping off the top rope, and hook them up, and and so it was terrible.
Why are we in groups? That's silly. Split them up.
Yes, yeah. Wait, what are factions like? I'm not racist.
We're all individuals.
Oh man, so yeah, I love Dangerous Alliance. I know Cuz that was a little before your time, but I'm sure you kind of remember them, right?
They still watch
I was gonna
videos.
ask Cuz what the hell he was doing, but he pretty much proved what he was doing just a moment ago.
Still go back and watch videos.
Roll up another one, buddy. What?
What?
No, that's not
what's going on.
What? Yeah.
Baby Steve Austin.
Hit us up on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. Click on Linktree. You can find us on several platforms, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcast. And don't forget, we are now part of the Wrestle Hub family, all about wrestling podcast. Catch them at the Wrestle Hub on YouTube and Instagram. This is Dave, Jess, Cuz, and Craig with the O.W.P. Have a good one.
Brother, I was in DX2, brother.
Yeah.